Can I give you... Well, okay. Let's say a story, but this is actually a piece of investigative journalism that I have done.
Wow. I like this. This is showing off our skills that we paid, like $30,000 in university for.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be paying it off the rest of my life. Super cool and fun, huh? So I can already hear the commenters saying, Chris, this is not a real story. This is small fish chase the bigger fish. To which I say, I feel this is on an equivalent level to a lot of the shit we cover, which makes
There
me
is
a real
no
journalist.
fish too small in the sea, is the common saying goes.
So, very short backstory. I work at a hospital in the suburb of Westmead, which, for those who don't live in Sydney, is kind of like the westernmost, or getting towards the westernmost edge of Sydney, with the east being the fancy bit. So, recently, outside of this hospital, I've discovered large amounts of horse poo on the footpath.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I was understandably quite perturbed by this. Like, where does this horse poo come from? Who's supposed to clean this horse poo up? Like, there's so many questions that arise from just finding a big, and I cannot stress enough, like, the size of a child, like, mound of horse poo on the footpath. And it looked like it had been there for a bit. And there was a new mound that appears every week or so.
And the old mound is still there? Does someone remove the old mound, or is it just more and more mounds forming outside the hospital?
So I figured out that someone moves the mounds roughly every week or so. So they get cleaned up, but then they get replaced pretty quickly. Of course. So I was like, is there some sort of stables in Westmead? Is there some sort of racetrack? There was the Sydney Westmead Speedway, but it closed down in like the 60s, so that's no longer a facet here. It turns out, having asked around, found some contacts, got some sources, i.e. the people who work in my office, that a couple blocks up the road from the hospital, there is an elderly woman who lives in a house that has 2 horses that she just kind of has.
Sure.
So I was then curious, what is the legality of just leaving horse poo, like fucking mounds of horse poo, on the footpath? Because I would have assumed it would go by dog rules, which is that you have to pick it up or you get paid a fine and everybody tries to murder you for being a shithead.
Dog laws don't apply to horses, so...
That is in contention.
Is it?
Because in this Daily Telegraph article that I found from, I want to say 2017.
Sure.
About police defend horse poop position.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So this article is not imported correctly, so I cannot read it word for word, so I am just going to have to paraphrase it. So, essentially, the police, we have mounted police in central Sydney sometimes, so they'll ride around on horses. It looks kind of cool, if a bit weirdly fascist.
Yes, and the horses poop everywhere.
The horses poop everywhere. And the Sydney Police's position is that they don't have to clean it up.
No.
So the council would like them to clean it up, please. And the New South Wales Police have said, oh, no, we don't have to do that.
It's kind of not our job.
Their argument is, because the horse, for them, is not a pet, it is a vehicle, then they don't have to clean it, because you don't have to clean up things left behind by a vehicle.
Oh, dear.
They also said, quite amusingly, that they also didn't want to clean it up because some people like collecting it and putting it in their gardens.
I'm sorry? How many Sydney-siders are walking around picking up horses' shit and just putting it in their bag, in their little, like, Coles, Woolworths reusable bag, to take home to put in their garden?
New South Wales Police have hit back at suggestions they should pick up after themselves by pointing out that many people go searching for horse manure to use in their own properties. Quote, it should be noted that horses are herbivores as compared to dogs, which are carnivores, the spokeswoman said. The waste from horses is often sought by members of the public for their gardens. That's fucking bullshit. I don't care if you've seen people do that. That's not...
I want to find one person. If Sydney Police can find me one person who likes walking around in the Sydney CBD picking up horse shit just to take home to their garden, because everyone in the Sydney CBD has a garden to take the horse shit home to.
That's an excellent point. No one in the Sydney CBD has a garden. So these are people who are coming into the CBD specifically to collect horse poo.
Oh, God.
And from a people living in Sydney CBD ratepayers perspective, it's not their job to give a shit about that. So, like... but anyway, my follow-up to this was that the woman living in Westmead, she apparently does not ride these horses. She just sort of walks them out to the park to let them run around every week or so.
I want to see these horses frolicking in the park.
I do want to see that too, but my point is that if she's not riding them, they're not a vehicle. So what I'm ultimately saying is, if I see horse poo again, I'm calling the fucking police.
But the police are on her side. They're on her side.
That's the problem. The man is out to get
you
me.
Can't, you have no ally in this war. You can never win.
I work in a hospital. It's outside a hospital. In what world is that acceptable?
This is our next level. This is next level for our podcast, by the way. This is the first time we've had a breaking news exclusive.
Exactly.
I just like the whole mounted police thing and like the horse poop. I just can't believe that their position is that some people like to collect it and therefore it's not their job to clean it up.
Also, if your first position is it's a vehicle so we don't have to, why are you adding that second part unless you know the first part is bullshit? Like, horse shit in this case.
If if I ever leave some trash on the ground, like I'm at a picnic, imagine this, and I've left my like can of soft drink on the ground and I've left like maybe half a Woolworths roast chicken on the ground and maybe a packet of Woolworths coleslaw sponsored by Woolworths. Yeah. If I leave all that there and like a police officer comes up to me and says, "Oh, you better pick up your trash," I'm like, actually, some people like to collect this. So, some people...
What if I get on a bicycle and I attach a huge carton of custard to it and poke a hole in the lid and put it upside down facing off the back, and I cycle and the police are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'll be like, "This is a vehicle. I don't have to clean up its droppings."
Oh my gosh. Wow. But we've busted open this case.
If you have a for dog owners, just a little bit of advice. If you have a very large dog, just put a very small saddle on it and put your toddler on it, and then that becomes a vehicle.
And you don't have to clean up the
your
poo.
dog poo anymore.
And then you just like make a printout of this Daily Telegraph article and laminate it and like wear it around your neck so that when the police come over, you can just point to the police quote. Actually, before you laminate it, you should highlight the quote so it makes it clear what you're pointing to.
That's very important. And then also just say, "Would you like to collect this for use in your garden?"
So some people like to collect dog turds in their garden. I'm not saying why or who or how. It's not my job to tell you why or who or how. It's my job to tell you that some people like to do this. So I don't need to pick it up.
I worry this is going to put the fertilizer industry out of business. And I feel like the police should be helping local businesses instead of...
undermining them.
Undermining it with their horses.
Oh my gosh. Oh. I just, like, you feel like the law would be that they would have to clean up their vehicles' droppings, but, you know, okay, I guess they're the police. They
don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
Ultimately.
But I have been at, like, protests and stuff, and then after the event, there's just, like, mounds of horse shit everywhere around the CBD. And it's like, I was wondering what the legality of that was, so now I know. I know. Totally
legal, and you can't do anything about it except walk around with a garbage bag and deal with it.
And collect it yourself, because you want to put it on your non-existent garden because you live in the fucking CBD. But, you know...
Wait. Those people who collect it, physically, how do they do that? Do they walk around with a garbage bag and, like, just garden gloves or, like, a big scoop? Like, what?
I suppose they follow the police horse around, like, maybe about 100 metres behind or so and just wait for the horse to drop it.
No. Alison, they follow about 1 metre behind holding the garbage bag open, just waiting.
Just directly into the garbage bag.
Exactly.
Oh, no.